Welcome. Today I'm going to do a thing on the art of Angus McBride, based on the book Warriors and Warlords. I don't know who the publisher is. Oh, for goodness sake, get your head together. Osprey, of course. Oh God. And I did one on, you see now I've lost my train of thought, on that brilliant bloke who did the FX box kits, but kit boxes. See, it's all falling apart, but I'm going to soldier on. Anyway, did the Airfix years, I think volume 2, wasn't it? And it made me think of this. So here we go. Another brilliant illustrator who I hold in high esteem. And this book covers the fella's art. So let's have a look at a couple of pictures that give a good idea of what he was up to. By the way, somebody's stolen me blackboard, which should have been good. They're doing a jigsaw puzzle on it. So I've ended up with this weird thing anyway. There's the man, the late great, and he really was something, you know, pretty excellent. There are some pretty marvellous illustrators for Osprey, and I might cover one or two others, but he really was superb. This book runs in a chronological sequence, starting with Egypt and going through Greece and Rome and so on, but it really steps into its stride, I think, as you get out of that period, and this is one of his utter masterpieces. I hold this in high esteem. Everything about it is fantastic. You always have to remember the limitations of the shape you're working with. So these are the page size of an Osprey book. Although he's working bigger, but you've got to fit it into that shape. It's like book covers are dreadful because you've got to get the author and the title of the book and irrelevant junk like that. Anyway, here's possibly King Arthur, potentially, and very, very plausible it is too. I mean, the one thing, there must have been something on his shield, that's about all. Everything else is fantastic. It works, the sort of tumble of figures down the side, but the rearing back, not just up, but slightly back of the horse takes you in a totally different direction and gives this an enormous amount of tension. It is fantastic. And in the middle of it, Arthur, standing or sitting, riding high and sturdy and firm in amongst all that's going on around him. The colour as well is, I mean, he could easily just do anything, any colour, but he's red, kind of almost red, all the way down to the darks. Then you've got a bunch of folk in the corner. It's, and you've got those as well, mustn't forget the crows, for want of a better term. It is superb. So that, I think, really establishes him as a fantastic artist. I didn't want to favour Western topics, but he just seems to have come out with the more dramatic and at times deeply contrasted images in the Western stuff. Perhaps it's the brightness of the skies and the beigeness of the deserts that wasn't quite grabbing me. But this is another one that is extraordinary. The wave of people coming this way, and it's literally symbolically a wave. Then a shore of shingle of corpses and a cliff of remaining Vikings standing tall, including, I forget who he is, the great king, somebody or other. Look at the standing brave, if facing inevitable doom, and you're swept up by the ship. You don't quite get the top of it, but you're rewarded by that one. And the contrast of the sky. The people who are going to live, well, some of them. The people who are inevitably going to die. The darkness sweeps up to the heavens and the birds whisking up, or even souls ascending to Valhalla. The whole thing is superb, and you could... Osprey are all about detail and about accuracy and so on. They're reference books. Forget all that. Look at the contrasts. Great patch of darkness there. Great patch of darkness in all the male. The light on those sort of carried on into the sky. That is a superb piece of composition. Well done, mate. Grim topic, but a fantastic picture. Just very briefly, there are two standout non-Western images. This one is simply, we were looking at contrast previously, and that was using light and dark. This is using colour. The sort of aquamarine blue and the deep, rich, sort of purpley shades there, and then the red and gold. That, and the white all around. You can just feel the heat and the intensity of the light, but I won't carry on with that one too much. We'll be coming back to something similar. Then there's this darkness. Even the lighter areas are full of dark. Obviously there was a storm, but there are ways of doing it, and this is a superb way of doing it. And look, it's a whole bunch of horizontal bands of different levels of darkness, with a flash of light across there. Hello, the sun's come out in real life. And the upward, bold figure. Light at the bottom, darkening towards the top. What a master of composition yet again. This is one of my favourites. He did a lot of medieval stuff, and I'm a big medieval fan, and I love this kind of armour. German armour of the 1400s, and a little bit later. It was superb. And this one's very interesting because a lot of people I know who like armour and perhaps have armour are a little bit critical of him, and there's always room for criticism. And I'm going to show one in which we can criticise the armour shortly. But this one isn't it. This is really good armour. Because not all armour is perfectly polished to a mirror finish. Even the posh blokes on horses. But there is a difference. This fella, not so high status, has a very grey, very flattened surface. He hasn't got the staff to keep that mirror finished. But this guy is a little better off, and look at how there are deeper contrasts, even on the horse's panels. So just a hint, just within your eye, of status. Not just the fact that he's on horseback, because there's another bloke on a horse as well, but the fact that there's a little bit more depth and shine to this fella. And the armour itself, I could go on for hours. What a gorgeous suit, extraordinarily well done. The only people who do armour better are Renaissance painters, and just tipping out into the Romantic period. But I withdraw that statement. Renaissance painters up into the 1600s. I wonder if I've got an image somewhere I can drop in. Hello, the sun's got... Oh, look at the richness of that. Beautiful. Thank you, clouds. Fantastic. I could go on forever. Another criticism I had is that a lot of these people look the same. Now, other artists, particularly for Osprey, have people whose faces look very similar all the way through. But there's often a sort of... I mean, this guy's not a great example. There's one about Scandinavian armies. I think it's part 2, where everybody does look the same. And I do wonder about how much time these artists are given to get the job done. But the characters, very often these characters can be sort of plump-faced, snub-nosed, slightly entertaining-looking characters. But I'm wrong. And this is just a couple of examples. Just get the character, he in particular, of these fellas, utterly picking out not just like a racial type, but an era. This is the Napoleonic period, and it's a class of men, and he's got that superbly. This one is probably one of the lower points in the book and out of his art, and it emphasises the flaw in the book, and that is that it goes chronologically. So sometimes you'll find the book includes, as a great, a work of art from a period because it is a stepping stone to the next period, not because it's good. The chronology demands it. And I think in a way this is one. It's very blank, it's very flat. To be quite honest, I was just saying, you know, I wonder how long they're given. This one looks like he wasn't given enough time. Who knows what the story behind this commission was. And perhaps it's an early one. I'm not going to read all through the book and stuff. Let's muse about these things. But the ground is very blank. The characters are a bit flat. The sky hasn't got much going on. There's strong colours on the whole, but we don't have the compositional contrasts. What we do have in the composition that's interesting are a series of dramatic diagonals there, along with a few others that change the colour. The rock running down, contrasted by the upright figures, and then centre of all of it, curve. One of the few real substantial curves in the whole thing. So there's still plenty to merit it, but it just lacks what the others had, and so it's not quite as good. I'm going to go for one more criticism, then we're going to look at what I think is his finest hour. This one is taken from a manuscript illustration or illumination of a tournament, so it's a kind of repro of that, making it a little bit easier to comprehend to the modern eye. The armour is very flat, and just generally not enough time spent on it. And the same is the case for this fella. And really gorgeous castle though, isn't it? Fantastic. He's so good at doing depth. I think what he needed to do was just shift the light source. So the light's coming down this way. If he'd put it over here a little bit more, he could have had light and dark rather than intermediate. And there's no great reflection. Just you get the reflection of the light source there and down on the knees and things. There's a flatness and a blankness. That's all. Now let's look at some of his real mega brilliant works. And the irony is, only one of them's in this book. So first of all, let's think about painting armour, because I'm struggling with some myself. This is a character who is standing beside a massive hill at dawn, and I'm painting this one. It's not an illustration for a book, so I'm not going to town on it, but all the same I want it to look like armour. I want it to look rough, I want it to look vigorous paint and so on. And the front of the helmet I'm happy with, particularly a little bit of dawn light reflecting off the bowl of the helm, but getting the back, not just, can't be black, which is what it is at the moment because I'm having to paint over what I'd done and failed with and then go over again. There needs to be some blue and some colour, so I empathise completely with anybody painting armour. Like I say, I'll try and find a good example of somebody from the Renaissance who's done a good job. But there's me struggling away, so it is hard. Now just a quick look at suits of armour. This is a blackened one, but look at the depth and the richness of the paintwork. That's pretty good. And again, a blackened one. This is probably 16, well, definitely 1600s, but again, richness, depth and crispness of line. A little bit too close perhaps, a little bit fuzzy. Again, 1600s, not blackened though, and once more, richness. Now, this is one from the 1800s, and it's just a preparatory work, for goodness sake. And it is fantastic. The bright shoulders and the darkness. On the other hand, I have to criticise, this book is a missed opportunity illustration-wise. I don't like that. And if I were asked to do an illustration and it came out like that, I wouldn't put it up for publication. I know I sound cruel and heartless. You're going, yeah, but yours is rubbish, mine isn't an illustration. Now they're good because you will learn from those. They are good for the same reason, they are diagrammatical. But that is a children's book. So I wouldn't put those up myself. I'm being very moody now, aren't I? Anyway, let's have a look at some other stuff. Medieval Scandinavian Armies 2. Here we go. This is the one I was talking about. There are some gorgeous. I love those two. That one in particular. I accidentally did a painting myself and it came out almost like that. And then I bought this book and I was like, oh God, I'm going to look like a bad person. This is the one I'm looking for. Here's your sort of typical Angus McBride faces. They're the archetypal ones, but as I said, there are plenty that run counter these fellas. I don't want to show too many because I'll probably get a copyright strike or something. So I think, I mean, what's remarkable is that's a bloody good painting anyway, isn't it? Faces or not. That's just superb. Ones that we're talking about ones which I find extraordinarily good. This one, the reflected light, the moodiness. You would swear this guy is standing in front of a fire. And you can't see it, it's not there. But you feel the heat of the fire coming off that picture. And I think it's, no, I've lost it. This one. Stunning. Now that is not an archetypal Angus McBride face, is it? And again, the use of colour to create power and dynamism. That bloke knew what he was doing. This is the Scythians, a fantastic book. But my favourite, the one that I just go, oh God, he did that, how am I going to beat it, is that one. Might not seem like much, but how on earth did he think, oh no, I'll do really deep flat blue and then virtually gold and bring the two together without creating green. The light, is it dawn or dusk? I reckon it's dawn. The weight, the mass of those towers, the sheer presence. I know where I am, well I don't know the place, but I'm there, I've been transported. The guys are really good, the equipment's good, everything. Again, contrasting colour, look at that. But it's this. That's superb. And the detail, the mass, everything. Magnificent. But it got beaten by one, which is in that book. Gotta move everything out of the way. This. And I was going to do a diorama like this. I might do it anyway. And then I got this book and opened it up and went, oh, he's done it. So, great minds and not so great minds think alike. Look at that. Apparently this wasn't for an Osprey book. I think they're Visigoths or Vandals. Germanic mercenaries of the 5th century AD in the ruins of the Roman world. Too right. Just, here we have, let's break this one down quickly and then finish. Again, that deep blue, marvellous. Fading into white so that you don't take up the whole of the page. But beautifully white columns with just a little darkness down the side to tell us where the light's coming from. And then the richness of that guy. And the dullness but darkness, like a black cloud against the blue. And down here, flash of red. Superb. And the white of the horse contrasting with the white of the pillars. And then their presence, the guy's physical presence. He's going to see us in a minute. He's looking out elsewhere. And this guy can give a monkeys. The horse is similar. That is magnificent. That puts this man on an astronomical scale. What a fantastic artist. And finally, and understandably, I don't consider this advertising by them at all. I consider this instruction and enlightening. Full list of Osprey books illustrated by Angus McBride. Thank you. I would love to have every one of them, but I don't know that finances and life run on that long. But there they go. I haven't even counted them. I should one day. And just a little bit. Most, not all of these, I think, are Angus McBride. Just to give you an idea. But that list is something, isn't it? Marvellous. So thank you, Angus, for working so intensely on all this and for providing us with not only resource but an inspiration. I think he is one of the true greats. No wonder they've done a book about him. We'll do another one similar soon, I hope, on illustrators and art and stuff. So thank you for watching and for, you know, coming to something that's a little bit different. And I'm not sure what will be coming next, but yeah, thanks for being here.